The Russia-Ukraine conflict has triggered a food crisis across the globe. India, interestingly, has now decided to step in and fill the vacuum. It has offered to export almost about 7 million tons from its 107 million tons of wheat that it has in its stores. In the latest, Egypt has now confirmed that it will start importing wheat from India to make up for the loss of exports that are coming in from Russia and Ukraine. Now, the Indian Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal confirmed the same in a tweet. Piyush Goyal said, and I quote him here, "Egypt has approved India as a wheat supplier. The Modi government steps in as the world is looking for reliable alternate sources of steady food supply." He lauded the Indian farmers, saying that our farmers have ensured that our granaries are overflowing and that we are ready to serve the world. Remember, there used to be a time when India was not self-sufficient in terms of the food crops that it produced. And over the course of the last 60-odd years, India has made such remarkable progress in terms of agriculture that we can produce way more than what we need. The Egyptian Minister of Agriculture, El Sayed El Qasser, confirmed that India is the latest in the list of countries that will serve as alternate sources of wheat for Egypt. This after a delegation from the Egyptian Ministry of Agriculture had visited India earlier in the week, approving Indian wheat after technical studies of Indian origin. They visited the fields and the grain warehouses as well as export warehouses in different Indian states, including Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Mumbai. Now, Egypt happens to be the world's biggest wheat importer and gets almost about 80% of its wheat imports from Russia and Ukraine. Now, according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity, Egypt imports nearly about 12 to 13 million tons of wheat per year, while Egypt has been working to diversify its purchases, holding talks with France, Argentina and the United States. India has been stepping up its efforts to provide for the wheat shortage that the war has triggered. In fact, in a video address on the 12th of April, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke about exporting supplies to the world, an issue that he's even raised with the US President during the virtual meeting earlier in the week. The Prime Minister urged the World Trade Organization to relax its norms so that India can now export more wheat to other nations that need it.
કાલે હું અમેરિકાના રાષ્ટ્રપતિ જોડે ચર્ચા કરતો હતો તો એમણે પણ કહ્યું કે મોટું ધર્મે એમને કહ્યું તમે અમને WTO જો પરવાનગી આપે થોડી રાહત કરી દે કે ભાઈ ભારતમાં જે ભંડાર પડ્યા છે તમે બહાર મોકલી શકો છો તો અમે કાલે મોકલવા તૈયાર છીએ અમે તો ભારતને તો જમાડીએ છીએ અમારા અન્નપૂર્ણા માના આશીર્વાદથી અમારા દેશના ખેડૂતોએ જાણે અગાઉથી દુનિયાની ચિંતા કરી હોય એમ પણ હવે આ તો દુનિયાના કાયદા કાનૂનમાં રહેવું પડે એટલે હવે ખબર નહીં ક્યારે WTO એના કઈ સુધારા કરશે ને આપણે થશે.
Remember, India is now filling a gap that's been left in the global food supply chain by the Russia-Ukraine conflict, and soon it could be sending wheat to other countries as well, including to places like Nigeria, Turkey, Vietnam, amongst other nations. And WION Siddhant Civil has been tracking the story very closely for us and has sent us this report. Listen in.
Now, in an interesting development, Egypt has allowed Indian wheat. We know that for last many years, Egypt had barred Indian wheat over issues of insects, and this was something that was being discussed. But the Egyptian decision comes at a time when we know the Russian invasion of Ukraine is something that is impacting the commodity market, especially the wheat market globally. So, in a bid to diversify its sources of wheat and also make sure that when it comes to the international wheat demand, there are sources for Egypt. This decision has been taken. Talks have been taking place for a long time. We know that there was a delegation of Egyptians from their authorities here in Delhi to, of course, take stock of the wheat and also how the wheat is essentially quality-wise good for consumers in their own country. But this is expected because, remember, amidst the invasion, the wheat prices are soaring and there is worry over global food stocks. So internationally, countries are trying to do that. They're trying to find new sources, and India it looks naturally is emerging as a big source of food, especially wheat and sugar. The Indian External Affairs Minister had recently talked about it in the parliament when there was a debate on Ukraine, that India has been reached out by many countries for wheat and sugar. And remember, when we saw the COVID crisis, India was able to send the world community HCQ. India was able to send the world community vaccines, and these vaccines were given to many neighboring countries and many developing countries. So this time, when there is a shortage of wheat globally because of the war which is happening in Eastern Europe, it looks India will again be the front runner in terms of supporting the world community. Siddhant Sibal for WION in New Delhi.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.